What's next for Khamzat Chimaev, and can anyone even beat him? Before I get into that though, if you're new here, make sure you subscribe as I have brand new videos every single week. So UFC 319 is now in the rearview mirror, but I want to see what's ahead of us. Who on the main card should everyone fight next? Khamzat Chimaev is now the middleweight champion. He was dominant as hell, boring as fuck for sure, but dominant, and got the job done with ease. Now the issue is, who can't he beat? But maybe the real question should be, when will he even fight again? Khamzat used to be incredibly active. He had, what, 3 fights in under 3 months when he first debuted? Since then, pullouts, cancellations, and big gaps in between. And now he's champion. We probably won't see him back for a while now. Anywhere from 9 to 12 months at the earliest, I reckon. But I hope I'm wrong, and I hope we get to see him fight soon. But if he does come back, who should he fight next? The obvious choice is the winner of Kai and Imavov. The timing lines up nicely. They're both fighting in a couple of weeks after UFC 319. Imavov's the #1 contender and was the backup for Du Plessis versus Khamzat. So again, it makes sense, but I don't want it to make sense. I want some fun fights, and a dark horse would be Lerone Murphy. He's got a decent submission game that might scare Khamzat into striking, similar to how Gilbert Burns drew Khamzat to the feet as he was so concerned about the submission threat. Murphy could do the same. I'm not saying he can win, but he might avoid another 25 minutes of dry humping. Dricus Du Plessis lost to Khamzat Chimaev, and usually after a couple of defenses, a possible rematch will be on the cards, but there's literally no point. Not after such a big domination. A big problem for Dricus now is though, he's already beaten the big names of his division. Izzy, Whittaker and Strickland. He can't run back any of those. Again, I know I said this guy already for Khamzat, but Murphy would be a fun fight for him. Both have weird, goofy styles and it will be incredibly entertaining. Then if Murphy wins, he's straight in the title picture. But personally, I like losers versus losers. It keeps the ladder cleaner. So give Dricus the loser of Imavov versus Kai. There's a lot of moving parts in this middleweight division right now, but once everything's in place, we should have a clear picture of everyone's opponents. My boy Murphy came out with an amazing spinning elbow KO, and to me, it's obvious where he needs to go next. And maybe it's just because he's English and I'm biased, I know, but I say give him Volkanovski. Usually I'd say it's too soon, but when you look at the rest of the division, Volk battered Yair, Ortega and Lopez already. Arnold Allen is still out with an injury, and Mosvar pulled out of UFC 319. So who's left? Murphy stepped up with relatively short notice, flattened a big name from Bellator, and he's undefeated. So why not, right? He might not be able to beat Volk, but he deserves his shot, and I say give it to him. Then poor Aaron Pico. This fella made his debut, co-maining on a big pay-per-view, looked nervous as fuck all week and got smoked. But to be fair, the UFC chucked him in too deep too soon. He's got a lot of potential, but I think we need to put the brakes on. Stick him on a fight night, let him get comfy and let him lay up with a winnable fight. Someone like Giga Chikadze, it gives Pico a chance to rebuild and establish himself in a new organisation. Then we had 2 great matchups on this card. MVP versus Jared Cannonier and Carlos Pratas versus Geoff Neal. MVP looked excellent, especially at 38, but let's be real, as good as he looked, he isn't well rounded enough to ever become champion in either middleweight or welterweight, and Carlos Pratas put on an excellent performance with a highlight reel spinning elbow. It seems so obvious to pair these two up against each other, complete no-brainer. Both Pratas and MVP already said they wanted to fight each other, so who are we to disagree, right? Get it booked. It would be incredibly fun. But where does that leave Geoff Neal and Cannonier? Both are basically gatekeepers of their respective divisions. For Geoff, I'm surprised that this fight hasn't happened yet. I had to double down to check it already hadn't, but give him Daniel Rodriguez. Both vets of the welterweight division, and it would just be a fun fight. And for Cannonier, there's so many matchups available. Middleweight has a stacked top 15, but I actually want to see him fight someone outside of the rankings, and that's Shara Bullet. The UFC are incredibly high on Shara. He's got a big fan base already and a lot of eyes on him. which is pretty ironic. I think it's a great test for Shara, and if he can get it done, it pushes him directly into the top 10. Then finally we have Tim Elliott and Kai Asakura. For Kai, it's looking grim. He's a great striker, got a great personality, but if you keep getting tapped, you're not going far in the UFC. He's just not dynamic enough for this organisation, and there isn't really anywhere for him else to go. But he's got history with Manel Kape. They've fought twice before in Ryzen, and they've got a win apiece. So just whack these guys together. It's sink or swim for Kai at this point, and I think he needs a big name, and he just has to come out and give it his all. So who does Tim Elliott fight next? He looked excellent against Kai Asakura, beating the man who just fought for a title. So if he's just fought for a title, surely we give the old dog one last crack at the belt. Pantoja versus Elliott. Let him go out swinging. It's a great way to end his career, win, lose or draw. So there you go, that's who I reckon everyone should fight next after UFC 319. But let me know in the comments down below what you think of my matchups and who you think everyone should fight next. Thank you everyone for watching. If you can like, comment and subscribe, it really does help the channel out.